Hello, everybody, and welcome to the brand new channel, Boardroom Bants.
Or bald. You go baldroom if you want.
That's because I keep talking to you, Sue. Do you know what I mean? It's bald. Do you know what I mean?
Shut up.
Now, welcome to the new channel, Boardroom Bants. I hope everybody's good. Hopefully, we'll have a few comments tonight and people joining in with us. We've got some great guests tonight. We've got the one and only Lev. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm excited. I'm excited with all these new shows we're coming up with. We've got this one. We've got the horror one next week. You know, it's exciting times, mate. Glad to be here.
And you, yeah, definitely, mate. And also we've got Sir Johnny. How you doing, Johnny?
Yeah, guys, thank you very much for accepting me on your show. I know it cost me a little bit of money to you to be my friends. I understand that, but thank you very much. And it's a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure. Thank you. Such two gods of Twitter world. I'm sitting in their company. It's amazing. It really is.
Thank you. That's a compliment, Johnny, from yourself. That's definitely a big compliment, mate. Right, so tonight's show, it's a top 5 albums and artists of all time. What is yours? Let us know in the comments. We're going to have a little chat about it, about music in general. So let me pass you over to Lev, and we go for it.
Cheers, Terry.
Right.
Well, look, you know what? I'm a massive music fan. You know, I listen to all types of music. You know, my original background, I was into soul, R&B, hip hop, quite generic. And then it expanded over time, sort of broadened over time. So to squeeze it into just 5 was ridiculous when I started looking through all the stuff I used to listen to and then trying to whittle it down to the 5. Is it 5 based on you know, how large they were in sales? Is it 5 based on the genre that you prefer? Is it 5 based on emotion, what it reminded you of when you were growing up? You know, how do you like whittle it down to 5? So I've got subcategories. I've done it. I've got my 5. I'm not even sure. I keep changing it last minute. I've got my reasons for it, but I'm going to be really interested to find out what sort of the listeners, the viewers, and you know, what their 5 is, how they come to it, and you know, those decisions, and you know, just it's gonna be a roller coaster ride, if you ask me, my opinion. There's just so many things and so many reasons it could be a 5. So let's see what happens.
Okay, what about yourself, Johnny?
Well, I'll be honest, guys. I went to the gym and I come back and I ain't had any time at all, but I've got it in my head. Now, there ain't much of a brain in there, as we know, but it's in there. The people I love, the artists I love, the albums I like. But something I'd like to start off with, if you two are up for this, for a laugh.
Yeah,
Go on.
Let's talk about artists. Now, we're going to go 2 each because we've only got an hour show.
Yep.
2 artists, right? And they've got to be big artists that grate on you that a lot of people like. So let's start with you, Terry. Give me 2 artists and then explain your reasons why. So give us 2 artists that are well known, well liked, but they grate on you. So they're like, I just don't understand why people get it, you know, why they like it. I don't get it. Give us 2.
To be honest, there's one that always comes to mind. And there's obviously no reason for it. I don't know him personally, you know what I mean? Obviously he's famous. But I just don't get why this song is played everywhere all the time at parties of God knows what, and it's Seal. Seal for me.
All Seals deserve a good clubbing, don't they?
What an awful song. I don't know about yourself, boys, but I, for me, it really grates me every time. Even when I just did a 2-second intro, I'm just like, oh, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? Why do people want to listen to it? It's rubbish. Don't know about yourself. What's your opinion of it, Lev?
Do you know what? Yeah, Seal, I can understand, because if you ask me to name, I don't know, 5 or 10 of his tracks, outside of a couple, I'd struggle. So I don't understand the big thing about him. I mean, he originally started off on a Damski's track, right? Which was a big tune, yeah? So, I mean, that was probably the best track he ever did. But yeah, Seal...
Are you a solitary brother, though, Lev? That's the question.
That was it, solitary brother. You know, that was a big tune. But that was an Adamski track, and it was more of a dance track, wasn't it, from the 80s, sort of late 80s, I think it was, early 90s. But yeah, Seal, I don't get it either. But there you go. The ladies seem to like Seal.
Yeah, I just.
Do you want one that grinds on me, or do you want?
Yeah, come on, Lev, you go for it. Man.
I could just keep them coming. All right, I'll go recent first.
Top
right?
two,
I'll
though,
go,
Lev. You've got top
I'll
two.
Go, all right. Well,
two.
he only named one, so give me another one, Terry. Don't just miss
Hold
out
on,
with.
hold on, Lev. Can we just say hi to Susie? She's from down in Australia. Hope you're good, Susie. Hope you're well.
G'day, Susie.
Oh, she's a lovely, lovely lady, Susie. If that's a Susie, she's a big T-Rex fan. Loves Mark Bolan. I'm sure that's the Susie, and I hope you're well. She's heart of gold. Lovely, lovely lady.
I think my second one I'd go with then, and there's just no other reason really. It just doesn't float my boat, as you would say. It's David Bowie.
Wow.
Controversial.
That's our first controversial one on the band.
I mean,
you know what, Terry? I get that, Terry. I get where you're coming from, Terry.
Ooh, yeah, I don't.
Because I do you know what? I mean, yeah, I feel what you're. Yeah, Terry, you're good shout, mate. Good shout. I don't see it.
The most interesting thing about him is he's got two different coloured eyes. That's about it. What can I say?
So's my dog. So's my dog, mate. So's my dog. Yeah, I do get it. I do get it. I get it. But maybe I missed that 70s era, that part where he was really sort of experimental and influential, shall we say. So maybe people sort of, his fan base came from that era, and I kind of missed that. So I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and all I keep remembering him for is Put On Your Red Shoes and Dance the Blues. Let's dance.
Let's dance.
And the track he did with Mick Jagger. Do you know what I mean? With that poor dancing in the background. Yeah, dancing on the street. Yeah. So I feel your pain on that one, but that is gonna
too. That Terry, really good, interesting, very interesting.
That's gonna part a few people's opinions, because there's a lot of Bowie fans out there. Yeah. Okay, so for me, right, I'm gonna go two that I'm not sure one of them is huge. It's not an artist, it's a band. I can't stand anything by the Lighthouse Family. Don't get it. Don't understand it. It's monotone. It's like lift music at best. And I just don't get why a lot of people were into it. The Lighthouse Family just drained the life out of me. And then if you're going to go recent, I'm going George Ezra. What is that all about? I don't get it. George Ezra, he's so massive. Why? I listen to his music and I don't get it. It doesn't appeal to me. So there you go. There's my two.
Okay. Johnny?
Doug. Hi, Doug. How you doing? Nice that you're tuning in, and obviously Nick Corn as well. Hope you're both well.
Yeah, Doug thinks Lighthouse Family is shite as well. Thank you, Doug. Shite.
See, I like the Lighthouse Family. I thought it was, they don't grate on me like they grate on you, Liv.
Sunshine shines on better things to do. It just drives me fucking mad. I hate it. Every song sounds
amazing, isn't it? What different people hear.
Every song sounds the same.
Music's great, isn't it?
Ocean Drive, would it?
Oh my god! And then what about the other one? Lifted. We could be lifted like that. Fuck off, mate. Fuck off. Sorry, Johnny. Sorry, mate. It's winding me up already.
I think that's great. I think it's really interesting. So, Lev, have you given one or two so far?
That's two, mate. It was Lighthouse Family and George Ezra. Don't get it.
Okay.
Just before we go on to you, Johnny, everyone in the comments, let us know who grates on you. What two artists grates on you? Let us know. Go on, John.
Right, I'm going to say the obvious one, because of people that are tuning in and people that know me, this is going to be no surprise to any of you. And I think they know it's... And actually, someone's just laughing at me now because she knows what's coming. I cannot stand, I cannot listen, I cannot fucking look at Robbie fucking Williams. The guy is the most overrated artist this country has ever produced. He hasn't done a good song since, well, I don't even like Angels, but I have to put my hands up. People like it. He hasn't done a good song since then. He's living off a Take That, who I don't think are that great either.
I don't get that either.
But Robbie Williams to me is, and I'm sorry, and it's going to sound like I'm being harsh, he is a very, very lucky boy, because he is talentless to me. He's always feeling sorry for himself from the publicity that he needs. Every time he's got an album coming out, he feels, well said, Nobby Williams. And I know Doug agrees. I cannot stand him, and I won't talk about him long because he grates on me that much. I cannot. So, what about you guys with Robbie Williams?
You know what, Johnny? To be fair to you, my wife says the same all the time. She can't stand him either. Even do you know what grates her the most? I think, and always when he does all this American smooth crap, and
he can't do. He can't do Dean Martin stuff. Dean Martin, he can't touch Dean Martin stuff or Frank Sinatra. He just ruined.
Oh yeah, he went through that little phase where he tried to do some Brat Pack stuff, didn't he? Oh, it was awful. Do you know what it is as well? He really he tries to sell it, doesn't it, with his so-called charisma.
Yeah,
and I think he can't sing. And do you know what grinds me as well is when you get those talent shows and they have him as a guest advising people on how to do things, and you're thinking, are you having a bubble? Seriously, like you can't sing. How are you telling other people to sing? So I do, mate. If we could read off more, I can read off more than two. So I'm with you on that, Johnny.
I mean, we can keep going. We've got plenty of time. Now, the second one this is a bit of a weird one, guys, because I like the dude and I like the band. I just don't like the music. And I liked the first album, if this makes sense. Now, you might see where I'm going with this. Coldplay. Now, now Coldplay, I loved Yellow.
Yeah, great album.
I love Parachutes. Yeah, I love Trouble, the song. But when it went into Clocks, I bet Johnny loves. What's that? I bet Johnny Love Buttons. What?
Johnny loves Independent Woman.
Yeah, man. Every day, swing it, sister. Let's go for it. But but all jokes aside, I cannot stand the latest stuff from Coldplay, from Clocks to. I just don't get it. I don't know what direction they went in, but to me, they're just like a modern day U2. That sound of. I
don't know if you can compare Coldplay to U2.
Well, sales wise, you can, and obviously how big they are now, because they are one of the biggest bands in the world. So that's what my argument is. I don't understand it. I don't. I like Chris Martin. I think he's great. I think when he speaks and that, I just feel it's the music itself I don't understand. The first album was good.
Nick Corn's giving us some interesting information on him.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
He's a Jaffa 2 on, all his kids adopted. Don't
know. That's brilliant. No,
thanks, Nick. Cheers, mate.
We've got plenty of time. We've gone 2 each, yeah? Let's throw in another more. Let's throw in one more each.
I'll go on this one first. Share. What is Share all about?
Yeah.
What is Share all about? Yeah. Do you believe in love? Oh, mate, come on.
That's fucking a really good impression, actually.
How fucking hell. And I'm going to throw another one in. What's her name? Celine Dion. Celine Dion. Oh, my God. Celine Dion. I mean, please. That's 2 more, sorry. Just don't start me off, mate. I'll keep them coming.
Well, we've got MJ in the ass.
Oh, nice guy, MJ. Hello, mate. How are you? You right? Craig David.
Proper bore. Oh, my God. Doug says Doug loves Cher. How can you love Cher, Doug?
Doug, tell him about Dark Lady, man. What a tune. Dark Lady. What a tune that is from Cher. But to each their own. To each their own. Terence, tell us. What's your third one?
Do you know what? This is going to be very controversial and all.
Well, like Bowie wasn't.
That was fucking huge. If you pull a bigger one than Bowie out now, mate, I'm wow.
Go on, Terry. I'm
going to go big here. I am. I know I'm going to go big.
It's not the first time, is it?
Would you like to have a guess first?
It'll be impossible. Is it a band or is it an artist on their own?
No.
What, male, female?
Male.
Elton John.
No.
You survived this podcast because I like him. He should have retired years ago, but I do like his old stuff.
Listen, he has got, I'd say, a few good tunes, right? Some of his music I do like, but him himself, I don't get it. Right? I don't get it.
Who's this?
And it's Prince.
Wow, that's another big shout for the Terrence.
Oh, you asked for another big one there, mate. Oh,
mate, you're the Terry of the show.
In there. It of you What do we call him?
Symbol.
Symbol. That's
Mate,
what
I don't know. Mate, Prince is highly influential, mate, and like even Nothing Compares to You was written by Prince.
That's right.
Yeah,
He was a great. He's a very talented man, Prince. I can't put him in that bracket.
To be fair, though, I do get where he's coming from. I mean, Prince is not my favourite artist. He's done some good tunes, but I understand also why people don't like him. He gives you that creepy vibe. I get that.
We've got a good one here for Raheen. I don't get George either.
Well, yeah. Well, to be fair, outside of Culture Club, how many hits has he had?
Yeah, that's another good shout.
Oh no, he done that Everything I Own, didn't he? That was quite a big. He got #1 with that.
Yeah.
That was a big hit. To be fair,
mate. Nick Berry from EastEnders had a #1. Every loser win.
Well, the thing is,
so there you go. That says it all, mate.
Boy George has got a cult following. I mean, he's not my bag, but he's got a cult following. He's sold a lot of records. So, what a tune, Simon. Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison. That's a great tune. Do you like My Boy Named Sue as well by Johnny Cash? That's a great record. Answer back with that one.
Just out of interest, boys, was that bigger than Prince than David Bowie or not?
No, I was more with Bowie.
It's on a par. It's on par, mate. For me, Prince was massive in the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I just had a message from Siobhan, said, can't sign in, I'm sorry. She said, but I can't contribute, but I'm loving the show. That's really kind of her. Thank you, Siobhan.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for that. So who's yours, Johnny?
Third one, yeah?
Yep.
Oof, jeez, because there are so many. Does it have to be, I mean, can it be modern day artists?
Whatever you want, you just go for it, mate.
Well, I went George Ezra, mate. That's very current. So whatever, mate.
Okay, if there's someone I'd like to batter to death with a fish, it would probably it would probably be Justin Bieber.
Oh yeah.
Justin Bieber is he makes me cringe. I look at him and I see the devil. I see Tottenham Hotspur. I just don't like his music. I don't think he's and also the worst song I've ever heard in the last 5 years. And I remember telling Siobhan, she'll laugh now. Siobhan, I used to, when I was in the gym once in Waterford, right, and I was doing some arm curls and looking in the mirror, and that song by Drake came on about Hotline Bling, and as the arms were going up, looking at it, and that song makes me cringe, absolutely cringe. Anything by Drake as well, don't get it. And Stormzy, don't like him either. Can't stand him.
Yeah, I can't stand him either. To be honest, I'm with you on that one, Johnny.
I like Stormzy. I think he's all right. I think he's done quite a bit for the hip hop scene, the UK hip hop scene. But we'll touch on that later. But all right, so have we gone through the two? Have we gone through our worst? Have we already?
Yeah, let's do the worst. We've done the worst now. Let's go on to the best then. I mean, there's going to be loads here anyway, but
it's more of a it doesn't say best, but it's what the point is our top 5 artists to us 3. Yeah. So basically, not who you think necessarily. They might not be the best. It might be a small artist, but like say, if we start with Lev. Give us 5 artists that are your personal favourites. They might not be the best.
So we're not doing the top 5 albums, right? We're just going our personal artists that we like.
We will, but we'll do the albums after. But it's basically
right. So this would be more personal stuff then, really. So I guess growing up, it would definitely. I'm going to say Michael Jackson. When I was growing up, I mean, I just loved him. I think go through his albums. Hit after hit, but also he's been through so many sort of eras, hasn't he? Generations, and he's still smashed it. I used to love Luther Vandross when I was growing up as well. Very soulful man.
So why Michael? Tell us more about Michael Jackson. What song done it for you? Why Michael Jackson?
Oh, I'll tell you why Michael Jackson, right? Because obviously you've got to think of when I was growing up. So I kind of missed that whole Jackson 5 era I listened to a lot of Motown growing up because my dad used to be a Motown fan, so he had loads of vinyls. So it was all Motown. So I used to listen to all the music from the 60s right away through to the 70s. It was all Motown, so it was all very soul based. So you caught some of the Jackson stuff, but I preferred a lot of different sort of Motown artists back then. And even Sam Cooke. I used to love Sam Cooke. I still do listen to a lot of Sam Cooke.
Voice.
Otis Redding, brilliant. These guys were very influential. So I think what it was he went away from the Jackson 5 and he had to stand alone, right? And then what was he going to come up with? And the first album, the first album, Off the Wall, was a collaboration with Quincy Jones. And it was very different to what anyone else was doing at that time. It was that disco era, but then he didn't keep it cheesy disco. Like there was a lot of cheesy disco going around, right? So I first heard that, and there was some amazing tracks on there. Like, I can name a few off that album. But when I was listening to Thriller, I remember it, and the reason it stands out for me is Channel 4, The Tube. Right? I don't know if you remember that program, The Tube. Mm-hmm. You had Jules Holland. And who's the other lady on it? Jules Holland.
Paula Yates, was it?
Paula Yates, right? Yeah, and I remember as a kid, there was all this hoo-ha about this video that was going around, and everyone was like, we're not allowed to watch it because the Tube was on between 5:30 and 7 on a Friday, from what I remember, and it had been delayed, and you're not allowed to watch this video, and everyone was like, "What's going on? What is it?" Well, being in a Cypriot household, my mum and dad weren't really switched on to ratings of movies and stuff like that. I got away with crazy things. And when we touch on the horror movies next week, the stuff I was watching before I was going to school was crazy. So I remember waiting for this video to come out. And when I saw it, it just totally captivated me. So Thriller and what he did with it. And then that's what really started me off with MJ, I think.
Well, to be fair, Thriller's probably the most iconic video of all time.
Ridiculous.
I think that's in itself, to be honest, Thriller changed music altogether that time into a different way it was going.
Produced
using visuals.
Yeah, John Landis, who done American Werewolf in London and The Twilight Zone, he produced that video as well. And John Landis was the big thing at that time. And very, very good.
And there was a massive warning. There was a warning before the video came out saying this is not what he believes. He doesn't believe in the occult and all this sort of stuff. It's just the whole build-up of it. I think he was a master. Not only was he great at music, but he was a master at captivating people, visuals, marketing. He just took it to another level in general. I think you hit the nail on the head, Terry. He went from just being the young kid in a brothers band kind of thing to suddenly catapulting himself on his own, and he took it to so many different levels, and he paved the way. So I mean, that's why he's one of my biggest artists that I love.
Why Luther Vandross? What's the crack there?
It was when I was a kid at school. I used to hang out with some boys, and they had older brothers, and they're all into sort of the older soul. So the type of music Luther was a bit more sort of a few years before me, but it was very soulful. It was that sort of old soul in there still, and that Never Too Much album of his, which had Never Too Much. It had House Is Not a Home, She's a Super Lady. I had that album on repeat. So I grew up with Luther, and I think vocally, he was one of the best vocalists of that sort of 80s sort of era as a soulful singer. There was not many better than him. So that's why I went with Luther.
Guys, sorry to interrupt as well. Siobhan's just texted me again. How can she sign in to make comments? She's watching the show, enjoying it. Where does she have to go, and what does she have to do?
Does she have a YouTube channel? Is she signed up to use YouTube?
I don't know. She just bases what does she have to do to obviously so she can comment and stuff like that. So I wouldn't know personally. Do you know, Terry? Or
yeah, if she's on Twitter, all she's got to do is go on and click the link on the Baldroom Bants on our Baldroom Bants Twitter page, and then I think you might just have to sign up to YouTube, but it's free. It's nothing, and then you can just comment whenever you want. Or I I think you sign up with your Google account. Actually, it's not actually YouTube. You sign up with your Google account.
Ah, right. And she's also told me to say to you, Lev, that Thriller was one of her favourite albums. Siobhan is a huge, really good friend of mine, and she's a huge Madonna fan. And that's her favourite artist. She loves Madonna, but Thriller's one of her favourite albums, so she agrees with you there.
Doug said
Thank
you have to subscribe to the YouTube. Yeah, I thought you did. I don't know if you. I think
Yeah. She just needs to sign up.
Just quickly before you go on, Lev, Doug has given his top 5. He said Bob Marley, UB40, Bon Jovi, and the Manic Street and Stereophonics.
Do you know what, Doug? Can I just say something? I mean, that's a nice broad range of genres there, but UB40's early stuff, amazing. 1 in 10, what a great track that is. So I used to love UB40's earlier stuff before they become mainstream. So that's one group you could say. I mean, they're top. There was a few groups like that that were better before they became mainstream. Level 42 was another one before they became mainstream. So it's a good choice there, Doug. I liked UB40 a lot. Other artists, boys. I mean, look, Whitney, because just purely for her vocal quality, was just off the chain. I mean, there's even now, if you listen to Whitney from back in the day, before obviously her troubles, I was very much into the vocal elements. That was something that appealed to me. So, I might not have her in a top 5 album side of things, because for me, her albums didn't have hit upon hits. Well, the best albums, but her singles hits are ridiculous. They're all split up into different albums. You get a couple of hits and then a load of ballads as well. Some of the hits were ballads. So, as a guy growing up, I was a bit soppy. Obviously, if you had a girl around, the Bodyguard soundtrack was off the chain. I mean, that was one that just wouldn't stop playing when I was first dating. But Whitney vocally was just unreal.
Saying that, I think when in her younger days, when she first brought out her first couple of ones, I think they was all hits on there.
Do you know what? I'm not saying they weren't hits, but as an album, I wouldn't be listening to that non-stop track after track after track. I'd find myself looking for my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
For me, an album is about you let it play because you just love the album so much. You just go with it. The layout of the album. I don't know
about yourself, but like every album that I used to get anyway, there was always 1 or 2 on there that you didn't really like and couldn't be bothered to listen to. So I'd always skip them. I don't think I've ever had an album where, unless you get the greatest hits, if you know what I mean, of an artist, that you could just play and listen to all of them. You like literally every one of them. Don't know about yourself. That might just be me, but
yeah. I mean, look, everyone's got their own criteria, I guess. But for me, an album is one that's laid out in such a way, with tracks in such a way that you can't stop listening to it. And that's my
very strong 3 so far, Lev. Very strong.
Then I will probably say, I mean, look, all right. This is a weird one, boys. It's a bit of a curveball. So I'm not going to say artist. Am I allowed to throw in composer, producer, rather than just an artist that sings?
Lev.
Or not?
Lev, it's your show. We're not going to argue with you.
Okay.
Lev.
Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
I can't get off. Right. If you don't know Hans Zimmer, right? If you're into music, Hans Zimmer is I just can't get enough of the guy, and I'll go and see him live because of his talent to write music. He has done the film scores for Gladiator, Pirates of the Caribbean, Da Vinci Code, Rayman, Man of Steel, The Dark Knight Rises, Lion King, Last Samurai. That's who Hans Zimmer is. And once you start to know who he is, you delve into his music and his talent. It's unbelievable. So he's a curveball for me, because I've tried to broaden my horizons when it's come to music, and it's more orchestral and whatever. But Hans Zimmer is a massive influence to me. I listen to music across the board, and that's one. I've got his music non-stop on my headphones. And finally, I could throw in another 2: Jodeci and Mary J. Jodeci and Mary J. when I was growing up. Jodeci, Diary of a Mad Band. Mary J. What's the 411 album? Ridiculous. Yeah. There you go.
That's cheers, Lev. Interesting top 5. Yeah. Terry, go for it.
Well, I don't think my top 5. I don't think there's anyone that really stands out apart from the top 2. Really,
It's what stands out for you, mate.
yeah.
And that's the most
I mean, for me, one of them is definitely Bob Marley. I mean, every song that we was talking about just before we come on there, me and Lev. I mean, nearly every song that you think of Bob Marley's, you'll be dancing to, you'll be singing, and they're just fantastic. He's just a fantastic artist.
And how comes? How did you get involved in Bob Marley? What actually stood out for you, and where did that come from? Apart from the reefer, yeah. Sitting there with
his tag used to be "I'm a reefer," but he changed it to "I'm a gooner."
Are you trying to say to me, do you smoke till?
only when he's on fire. No, go on. So where did the Bob Marley interest come from, Terry?
See, a lot of my interest in music comes from deep in my family, to be honest. I mean, every Christmas, every New Year's Eve, every Boxing Day, every sort of time we could get together, we'd meet up and the music would be playing. You know what I mean? Every time. And Bob Marley, his songs would just, they would just get you. I've heard them since I've been a kid. You know what I mean? So they would just get you up. I would look around. The family would all love it. You all be singing to each other. It just means a lot. They mean a lot to me. These songs, if you know what I mean.
Very positive music as well, wasn't it? It was really positive and conscious music. That's what you could call that. Yeah.
Have you got a favourite track by Bob Marley as well?
I think one of my favourites has got to be Buffalo Soldier. I think.
Dread like Rasta.
Yeah, that's got to be one of my favourites. One of my family favourites that we all used to. As soon as you heard the intro, bang, everyone was up on the dance floor. You know what I mean? It just means a lot.
That intro.
I think my favourite's got to be, without a doubt, "Could You Be Loved," and then "Get Up, Stand Up." They're my top 2 by Bob Marley. I think "Could You Be Loved's" an outstanding track. To be fair, that is such a great record.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Totally and number 2, mate, who's coming in?
Well, he was number 5, really. I would go
any older as they come,
Obviously, for massive, me and you, John, we're always posting videos of them on Twitter. I'm a massive Oasis fan, so I got to go for it. Oasis, unbelievable. I loved Liam and.
I'll just do this while you carry on speaking.
I mean, the music, I think, is fantastic. It's a shame that they ain't going to get together at the moment and you know what I mean, sort it out between them and come back. And because I think, you know what I mean, they'd sell out, wouldn't they? Let's be honest, Johnny. They'd sell out all over the world again if they got back together. They're just fantastic. Oasis are kings. Nearly every one of their songs, I can't pick a bad one, to be honest, Johnny. I don't know about yourself.
No, I mean, obviously, I won't spoil my top 5, but they could be in there. But I mean, I won't say too much, obviously, on that point, but because you brought them into it. But boy, that music was fucking needed. It was all dance and that, and then they came back and brought back a bit of rock and roll, and that's what was needed at that time. Because I liked the Prodigy and all that sort of stuff, but it was all dance and that, and we needed a bit of rock and roll back, and they done it, and it didn't sound dated either. They done it well. They were lads that were hungry. They were raw, and they done it properly, like the Stone Roses did. So yeah, that's a great shout, obviously. And
sorry,
Johnny, it's funny you say that, mate.
I was just gonna. Sorry. Go on, Liv. Go on. You go first, mate.
It's funny that Johnny was saying about like it was all dance and that side, and that because I was out in Ibiza for 2 years during that period, and all the people that were raving to the dance tracks in the evenings, during the day they were listening to Oasis non-stop, either getting ready on the balcony or just getting tanked up beforehand. So I used to hear that album on repeat.
Yeah.
So it was the same. It was the same guys. It was the same people listening to that and then raving in the evening. So
Terry, I just had a
fair play.
Obviously, she's not signed in at the moment, but my great friend Siobhan, I'm going to read it out. But when I see her in a couple of months' time, I'm going to grab her by the throat. She said, "Never got the Oasis thing. Very bland. Oops, sorry. LOL." Siobhan. You're in for it, mate. You're in for it.
That's a thumbs down.
Madonna.
I mean, when you look at it though, I mean, you talk about albums like we said, and you just let it run through. I mean, one of their albums we'll come on to later. Obviously, not going to give anything away, but you know what I mean. You had Roll With It, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Hey Now, Cast No Shadow, She's Electric, Morning Glory, Champagne Supernova. I mean, there's a bloody album there.
Shalom. Right, so that's two that's two wonderful acts.
We're getting religious. We're getting religious now.
Mate, I'm floating on my carpet as you say. Oasis. What's the
it's all the beans. It's all the beans you had before you come on, John.
Right, the third one. I mean, obviously, I loved Luther Vandross, all them sort of ones at them time. Alexander O'Neill.
Oh yeah.
But for me, Lionel Richie.
No.
Yeah, Lionel Richie.
No, not Lionel. No.
He is the god.
No, man, it was the watered down version of those.
No.
Yeah, it was so mainstream. It was so mainstream.
Ooh, debate in the bands.
Do you know what Lionel Richie reminds me of, Terry? Right, when you used to go, I don't want to. Yeah, you. I don't want to get into it too much, but like when you used to go to your mates, when you used to go, I grew up in North London, so it was quite urban. It was a mixed bag of people. So then when you grow up, you go, what sort of music you into, mate? And you go, I like R&B and I like soul as well. Yeah, me too. I listen to Lionel Richie. No, mate. No, that's watered down. Watered down Lionel Richie's.
Lev's going for the jugular vein on Terence here.
I know. Listen,
you hose piping down.
Lev, you won't
change. Hello.
Say You, Say Me is a lovely track, actually.
Oh, come on, mate.
Obviously, I'm going to go with.
Actually, on Saturday. Do you mind?
It was better in the Commodores.
Can I sing that to you on Saturday at the bar? Say You, Say.
Of course you can, mate. Yeah, of course you can. Thanks, sorry, Terry, I didn't mean to poo-poo on your artist, mate.
That's all right, mate. That's not a problem. But for me, obviously, one of the best songs was Truly, and that's my wedding song. So.
Oh
no, you made me feel worse now.
Get off the show, Lev. Go on.
I love Lionel Richie now. Now you've told me that, Terry, it matters that much.
Actually, to be fair, Truly, and it was Wifey. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, that's another track though. That's next level track.
We had that as a double. We had that as a double as our wedding song because Wifey is next level and all.
You're my wifey. Yeah, that's a good tune.
Terry, you've blown my mind, mate. I feel all emotionally scarred now. You are a lovely human being.
Number 2, already been said, so got to put it out there. And number 1, really, Whitney and Michael Jackson, but I'll go Michael Jackson / Jackson 5 because I love Jackson 5. I loved all his earlier stuff, the Motown stuff and all. I thought it was absolutely brilliant because obviously when I was younger, just watching his life story, watching how he was brought up. I mean, obviously he was brought up in a bad environment. His dad obviously used to beat their kids and that, you know what I mean? And just seeing what them kids done and grow up and become what they become was absolutely amazing to me. And his voice when he was a kid was so much better than when he was an adult, in my opinion. It was unbelievable.
I think they were just different. It was more high pitched when he was a kid, and he had to change it when he was an adult. But Gunner Talk wants me to cover Truly for you when you renew your vows. I won't be doing that, mate.
Lev, I've heard your voice, mate, and you've got a voice of an angel. I think you should do it.
I can sing actually.
I know you can.
We'll go with it, Lev.
No, not today. That's another podcast, boys. That's the live podcast when we build up the viewers and sell tickets live. Then I'll do it.
Okay.
Wow. So, guys, that was really, really good. Really, some great artists there as well. Siobhan's been kind enough again to take our photo and post it out there. And she's
thank you very much.
Thanks, Siobhan.
We should get her on the show and talk a little bit about Madonna, but we won't go too hard on her. What do you reckon?
I mean, obviously, there's so many other artists out there. We haven't done yours yet, Johnny. But Madonna was a big part of my life. My mum absolutely adored her. So, I mean, every time we up the ass, she had Madonna on and all of her songs. Don't get me wrong, they are good. I grew up with Madonna, but it just weren't for me.
Here he goes.
For me, right, Madonna, right? Her earlier stuff was better for me.
Yeah.
And then when she started getting a bit weird, and then I don't know, I I think she just started. Sorry, Siobhan, you're going to hate me for this, but I just think that she just started thinking more about sort of to create this mass hysteria about what she was doing rather than focusing on her music. She was trying to be always trying to be controversial instead of just focusing on her music, in my opinion. I mean, La Isla Bonita, that's what it's called, isn't it? I think. Good tune. She's got some good tunes. I'm not going to lie. Papa Don't Preach. Yeah, that album. What was that album? Papa Don't Preach.
Is it a Virgin? Not Like a Virgin, no? No, not Like a Virgin. What was it called?
One thing.
Siobhan, help us out with this one.
Oh, what was it called?
Siobhan's just replied, guys. Agreed. After 97. Hold on. Sorry. She's going mad on the text. We've definitely got to sign. She's never texted me so much in my life. Here we go. Agreed. After 97, Madonna just lost it. And that's from a massive fan. Loved her pre-97, True Blue. From the album True Blue.
That album, that True Blue album was a decent album. That was a good album. I actually think was Just Like a Prayer on that album as well.
That was Just Like a Prayer. What a tune. That is a tune.
That's a good tune too.
I think Madonna's greatest ever tune for me personally, and Siobhan will know it. I don't know what album it was. It was one of her latest stuff, but in the 90s, but it was brilliant. It was beautiful. It was called You'll See. And it was if you YouTube it afterwards, you'll know the song. It's a very, very slow ballad. It's a beautiful song, You'll See. And it's my favourite. And I'm hold on. No, Like a Prayer was a separate album, she said.
Like a Prayer, yeah. That was the album we were talking about.
My favourite out of her most recent, or if you could say most recent, more sort of the newer stuff, was Frozen.
Thank you for watching. Sorry, Lev.
That's all right, mate. The track Frozen, which was a bit more like a dancey type, a more modern track. Frozen, I did like that track as well, and the visuals on the video were good too.
Siobhan's taking over the show. I knew this was going to happen.
just
shame she's not in the chat.
Just to go back, Lionel Richie, Stuck on You. What a fantastic tune and all. After True, brilliant.
Wonderful track by Lionel Richie. Let's be fair.
That is a good tune.
And whether we like Lionel Richie or not, we talk about Michael Jackson's iconic video. We have to say Lionel Richie's Hello video was very iconic with the moulding of the face. It's corny as hell, but it's a very famous video. Yeah. It really is. It's and it's a great track. It's a bit like Stevie Wonder. I just called to say I love you.
See, for me, Lionel Richie's the B category out of the soul type singers. Then you had like Billy Ocean with Caribbean Queen and all that. That was the category I put Lionel Richie in. But you know, that's just me. Everyone's different.
Did you like James Ingram, Lev?
James Ingram.
Yamo
Bida. Yeah, that was, that's another one. I like soul music. Who do you like? James Ingram. Didn't he?
Michael McDonald.
Didn't he do that tune? Wow. Oh my God! Yeah, Michael McDonald. Yeah. Which one was it? Was it Michael McDonald with Patti LaBelle, or was it James Ingram?
On Our Own with Patti LaBelle, one of the greatest love songs of all time.
Yeah,
and the video is me looking out to sea. That is me. I can say it, and that voice, that's me as well. I'll tell you that. Do you know you're going to kill me, right? For one of my secret guilty pleasures. He's not in my top 5, and I'm going to get tomatoes thrown at me. You ready?
Gus.
Even the dog don't want to know this. Michael Bolton.
No.
Sorry. Dude.
No.
He melts my bollocks. I love him.
I put him with someone like Michael Ball and all them sort of like no.
That is the same sort of music that someone would have their girlfriend round. They'll have Michael Bolton, or they'll have who was the sax player? Kenny G.
Kenny G. What a Songbird.
That album, that Kenny G album. There was my partner that I when I first met her. It was Michael Bolton, Kenny G, Bodyguard soundtrack.
Yeah,
that was it. That was it. It was those three.
Guys, Siobhan's just said as well. She's seriously taking over this show. You give Siobhan an opportunity, and she takes over. She does it all the time. Oh my God, love Michael Bolton. Well done, Siobhan.
No, and what a weird barnet he had as well. Come on, it was like a WWF barnet, wasn't it?
Yeah, like Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. It was always oily and like dripping.
The Rockers.
Yeah.
That's another
Mate.
show, boys. Wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, don't get me
But
started.
going back to, was it Michael McDonald you were saying? Yeah.
What an artist.
He does have that track. What was it? Can't forget none in love. What that track? Do you know the one they used in?
Yeah.
Warren G used it on a hip hop track a bit later on.
I can't help. We're not in love anymore. That one.
That one.
Yeah.
That's a great track.
People forget he was actually in the Doobie Brothers as well. Do you know the Doobie Brothers?
Terry was in the Doobie Brothers as well.
Yeah.
When he was listening to Bob Marley.
Music. Bob Marley was in the Doobie Brothers. Yeah. But
Terry had.
You still there, Lev?
Dreadlocks.
Who, me?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Lev's freezing. Lev's freezing. Can now.
You can now, mate.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was just saying Terry had dreadlocks.
Coming in, Johnny. Give us your top 5.
Anyway,
right. This I don't
I
expect
forgot we were doing that.
Yeah, right. See you later, lads. Bye. Thanks for the show. I don't expect Lev to like some of my 5. To be honest, I don't think Terry will.
Oh, what? Stop stereotyping me, Johnny.
Oh, no, right.
I like lots of different music, mate.
Right, I've got a funny feeling.
Roachford. Oh my God, someone just.
Number 5. Now, it's not in order. They're just artists that I grew up with that I liked. Jim Morrison from The Doors. I love The Doors. One of the greatest rock, greatest rock bands of all time. One of the biggest
Don't get The Doors.
of all time. Love The Doors. Brilliant. LA Woman. The reason why I like The Doors is because I watched the film played by Val Kilmer. Was it Oliver Stone? He produced it. And he won an award for it, and I thought it was brilliant. I weren't into The Doors at the time. Then I started listening to their music, and I really got into it. So I like Jim Morrison. I love The Doors, and I think they were ahead of their time. But I get people that don't like them because it's Marmite. It's pretty much, you either love them or you hate them. They're more of an American-based band. They are well known over here because of the film, obviously, afterwards. But they're huge. They're like Pink Floyd. They're like an album band. Do you know what I mean? They've sold millions and millions, and it's the same as Pink Floyd. That you either love them or you hate them. See, Floydonians, if you speak to a proper Floydonian fan and you say, oh, their best hit's Brick in the Wall, they're murder you because they hate it. But that's the thing. And then like people that say, no, The Doors, they'll say, oh, Light My Fire. But to me, that's one of their worst songs. It's
Doug's
funny.
Come out with a dad joke, by the way.
What's that? What did he say?
He's coming out with dad jokes. Doors, Brill, Windows. Windows aren't bad either.
Oh, that's a classic, that, mate. But to me, they're superb. I love The Doors. Very, very influential to me in my music. It was a tough top 5. It really was because there's ones that I've gutted I haven't put in there, but a lot of them are old school. But yeah, they're one of the reasons. Right, second one that goes in for me.
On that one, Johnny. Unfortunately, not for me, mate.
No, to each his own, isn't it? Again, I don't expect much from you guys on this one either, but I'm going for Roxy Music and Brian Ferry. They're in my top 5 as well. I love Roxy Music. I think they covered Jealous Guy by John Lennon was absolutely fabulous. Again, one of the biggest selling bands of the UK. Million sales. Dance Away, great track. Angel Eyes, and it goes on. Their back catalogue is superb. Virginia Plain stuff. But I don't suppose you two would be very familiar with their stuff. I wouldn't be surprised.
What, Slave to Love? That was one of their tracks, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Slave to Love. Yeah. Reminds me of Jack Stevenson, actually.
He is. I call him Brian Ferry. He's the last 3. You might have questions about. You might not like them, but you'll have questions for. Top 3 for me. John Lennon. John Lennon, one of the greatest artists, one of the biggest bands of all time. The Beatles. I'm more of a John Lennon fan than I am a Beatles fan. So I like the solo stuff by John Lennon. But with the Beatles, I prefer the oldest, the latter stuff. So not the head shaking moments of I want to hold your hand, but more. But I am the walrus, stuff like that, or a Hey Jude, the elder stuff. But if you listen to a track, a lot of people love Imagine by John Lennon. I like tune. Yeah, right. I mean, If you listen to Woman, there's a track called Woman by John Lennon.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
And it's wonderful. He was basically writing for Yoko Ono at the time, and he did love her, and he loved her dearly, and that song was for her. And if you actually listen to the words, totally beautiful, really, really beautiful.
Well, he was like that was his conscious phase, wasn't it? When he had an awakening. He changed from the Beatles, which incidentally I could have done a Terry with the Beatles that he did with Bowie and Prince. I could have gone Beatles because I don't get it when I listen to their stuff. Not as Beatles. Lennon stuff, the stuff he wrote after, I get because there's some beautiful songs he wrote.
Well,
But
if you listen to, and I beg you to, when we leave the show, listen to Watching the Wheels Go Round and Round. I'm just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round, and it's magical stuff by John Lennon. It really is. He was a great artist, great artist. Paul McCartney was a great artist as well. George Harrison, they were all fabulous on their own. So when they split up from the Beatles, they all wrote their own material, and it was all successful.
See, Paul McCartney, I didn't get on his own, and anything I heard of his on his own, again, didn't do it for me at all. Even when he was with MJ, he done a song with MJ, didn't he? Say.
He done two with MJ. The Girl Is Mine as well.
Girl Is Mine. Yeah. And,
which were both big hits as well, in fairness. They were very big hits.
Well, MJ owned their back catalogue, didn't he?
Yeah, Michael Jackson was a huge Beatles fan. So, it was...
The Beatles, for me, was a big part of my upbringing and all. As much as my mum loved Madonna, my dad loved the Beatles. I'm not a big fan of the Beatles, don't get me wrong. I know all their songs, most of their songs anyway. But it just weren't for me either, Johnny, to be honest.
No, that's what's saying.
My dad was more Elvis than the Beatles. It was Elvis and then Motown.
Yeah, he was on par. To be honest, he had three. It was either Elvis, the Beatles, or Rod Stewart. Another great.
My dad was Elvis, Roy Orbison.
Yeah, my dad was.
Or Motown. My dad loved Roy Orbison.
Yeah.
There you go.
No one said Fleetwood
Mac.
Mac.
Johnny.
Nick Corns just said, just got to the office now, guys. Back with you. Has anyone mentioned Fleetwood Mac in their top 5?
No, they haven't, but they certainly deserve to be in the top 10 for me. I think they're a wonderful group. I love Fleetwood Mac are a great group. But going back to, I've got 2 more to go, and then we'll get on to the albums. For me, the next one I'm going to say is the biggest artist of all time. There's no one better. There's no one bigger. And that's Elvis Presley. That's my opinion.
I was going to say no one has said that yet.
Yeah.
No, Elvis Presley for me. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was a bit of I liked Roy Orbison. I liked Dean Martin with my dad. They're massive. But all of a sudden, over the last 10 years, I started listening to Elvis. And I thought, wow, this man can sing. And for me personally, I've done it in a top 50. If you listen and take the time to listen to Elvis Presley sing Suspicious Minds, it's one of the most perfect executed songs you will ever hear. The voice is incredible. The man, he didn't write his own material, but the man's voice was absolutely outstanding. You cannot take it away from him. And I didn't like, my mum was Elvis mad. But it's only over the last.
Didn't he sing that for Priscilla though? Wasn't that something to do with Priscilla Presley?
No, that was "You're Always on My Mind." He wrote.
That's it. You're always on my mind. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But there's tracks. I mean, if you look at one of the greatest rock and roll tunes of all time, he sung, and that was Jailhouse Rock. Jailhouse Rock is a monster tune. Worldwide.
Yeah, that is a good track. I actually used to watch the films when I was growing up because my dad used to watch them. The films were quite cheap. It was like. The film script could be terrible, but it was like I think Eddie Murphy did a script on it. It would just say something to trigger off a song. So Elvis, we got to win this race. We got to win this race. It was like that kind of. Do you know what I mean?
It was just phenomenal, and you just close your eye. I mean, even if you listen to "Burning Love," that's another great track, and "The Girl of My Best Friend." He's just done so many. And his last song that he ever done was called "Moody Blue," and it got to #1, and it was released a couple of months after his death. And that was a great track.
Nick Corn, In the Ghetto. That is a brilliant tune.
Yeah, In the Ghetto. So you can't
Return to Sender. Great.
Yeah, I mean, Tassels aside,
unknown.
Just a great voice, just a great voice. But Tassels and Toilets and Burgers aside,
loads of them.
What a voice. Number one, not really a surprise, as in they're not as big as the artist I've just mentioned, but they are a huge act and they're my personal favourite. Oasis, surprise, surprise. The reason why I like Oasis is because when they were playing Nedworth, it was one of the first concerts I went to. Jumped over the fence, saw the Prodigy, and they were great as well. But I watched Oasis, and they just blew me away. And in fairness, very unusual for an Oasis fan. I had Park Life by Blur first of all, before Definitely Maybe. So hands up on that one. And I loved Park Life. I thought it was a really good album. And I didn't buy Definitely Maybe. And then they released What's the Story. So then I went backwards and bought Definitely Maybe. And I fell in love with Oasis. And ever since then, they're the best band. I mean, I've seen them live. I've seen them at the Brits Award. As I say, where I live now in Nedworth, only over the road where they done the famous gig. They just mean so much to me. They're my Beatles. And the fact is with Oasis, I don't like just your ordinary tracks that your normal Oasis, like people say, oh, I like Oasis, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger. I like stuff like Don't Go Let It Out, which was number one for 3 weeks. Great track. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, that was off that album. The solo, the instrumental Fucking in the Bushes, which was on Snatch when Brad Pitt's fighting in the end scene. Great track. But yeah, and even on Be Here Now, they've done some wonderful tracks as well. Like, well, where do you start with it? I mean, My Big Mouth and stuff like that weren't even released as singles. And then you had the Master Plan that was on the B-side album.
Yeah.
So the thing is with a good band is when they can sell a B-side album and sell millions, and they did. So they sort of like gave me that kick. But bands that just missed out on my top 5, sadly, were people like T-Rex, Mark Bolan, who I know Susie loves, Fleetwood Mac, Kate Bush.
Oh, no, Johnny.
I love Kate Bush.
Oh, no.
I love Kate Bush.
Do you know what? She's a weird one, Terry, for me, Kate Bush, because you could listen to a load of tracks and go, oh my God, I can't stand it. And then there's a few that are really good. What's the one when she's running over? She's running on. Is it called Running?
Running up that hill.
Running up. Yeah.
Great song.
I love that tune. I think it's a great song. But if you ask me to listen to Kate Bush generally, I wouldn't. But that song is a prime example. I like that song.
But that's also a prime example of a good artist, because if you don't like them or like that band and you still like one or two of their tracks, that tells you, that if they're a popular artist but you still like one or two of their tracks, that tells you something.
Yeah. Thanks, Gunner Talk. Yeah, Running Up the Hill. That's it. That's a good track, that is.
Do you know who else?
Like,
even in the comments was Freddie Mercury.
What's that,
mate?
buddy?
How can we? Do you know what?
I'm surprised that none of us had him, or no one's even commented on Freddie Mercury. What an amazing man to music.
Terry, I'm going to be honest with you, right? I mean, as you can see, you guys probably wouldn't be surprised. Like I say, do I look like I would like Queen, for example, right? But it only dawned on me because obviously I remember Live Aid and all of that anyway. But Queen's been around all my life since I was growing up. And then when I watched the movie, just like you did with what was the artist you were talking about? You watched the movie for. One of you guys was saying you watched the movie. Doors. You were saying the Doors, Johnny. You said you was watching the Doors movie, right? I watched Queen's movie recently, and then you go through the back catalogue. It's ridiculous, right? But then what I'll have to rate him for as well is he's so ahead of his time musically. The layers he did on Bohemian Rhapsody, for example. Just the way musically, the way he thought, there wasn't many people that thought like him. And I'm into that. I'm into like talent in any way, and he was way ahead of his time, and vocally ridiculous as well.
You know what? I mean, Johnny, you just said what was that? One of the best songs that you said.
Suspicious Minds, Elvis.
Yeah, I feel the same about Freddie Mercury's. What's the one you just said, Lev?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I feel the same. If you watch that live concert one he done, when obviously he knew he had the AIDS, he knew he was dying, and the way he sung it with the emotion behind it, and obviously at Wembley, I think it was just a crowd. I just think that's one of the most saddest, influential videos you will ever see in pop music myself. And if you actually listen to the words when he's singing it and look at his face and the emotion in it, I mean, I just think it's unbelievable.
It's one of them tunes that's up there with the likes. When you say Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't know if you guys agree, but I look at songs like Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. Gimme Shelter is a fucking absolute classic. All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. These are massive, massive tunes. And I put Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not a Queen fan. I'm not. But I appreciate the man and what he did for music, and he can hold a note, and we know that. And what's this?
The coats, one of the coats, the brown coat, the one you did on the darts day. You know, doing the thumbs up like your dad.
Yeah, that was actually, to be fair, yeah, it's a legit one. It's I buy most of my stuff from Liam's shop, Pretty Green. So it was a Pretty Green jacket, would you believe? So yeah, glad you liked it, mate. I've got a few Parkers that I wear. I actually want in that dress like him think I'm in, but just ain't happening.
Cheers, Claude, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, thank you, Claude, for shouting it out for us, mate.
Terry, going back to Queen as well, even when you're watching Champions League or football and everyone's singing "We Are the Champions," where's that come from? It's like, you know, it's the Queen has been around us forever, and like sometimes you forget their back catalogue. When you go through, it's very hard to find a bad track of theirs. And as an entertainer, there was only a very small few that if you went to concert, they'll blow you away as entertainers. It's different going to a concert and knowing that you like that artist or like Oasis or like whatever. But there was a small bracket of entertainers that when you went, it would blow you away. And I would imagine MJ was one of them. Didn't get a chance to see him. Queen. When I watched some of the old footage of Freddie Mercury, the way he played that crowd, it was on another level. And it was only a very small amount of people that could sort of control a crowd the way that those guys did. So yeah, you know, Queen could have easily been up there, even if it's not my preferred genre.
Do you know what? A true fact, what I watched, I don't know if you watched it, it was a documentary on him. And what an amazing man. He had a little, in his bedroom, behind where he used to sleep in his bed, behind his head, he used to have a little cupboard thing where he'd tap and it would open up and a little keyboard would be on it. Because when he used to sleep, he used to wake up in the middle of the night, and he would play it backwards like that.
That's in the film. It's in the film.
Oh, is it in the film itself? Yeah,
mate. He was musically very gifted guy. It was just
unbelievable.
You know, you only get natural talent like that very rarely. You got to give it to him. So you know, I could totally understand and get where Queen fans come from.
Yeah,
100%.
All right, boys, should we go on to the top 5 albums now?
Yeah, we're doing overtime here, aren't we? Wow.
Well, mate, it's a subject you could go on about for ages, isn't it? Let's be honest.
So, who wants to go first? I don't mind going first if you want me to, or Johnny, you go first.
Well, should we just do an album? We'll just go along the line, do one album, come back to each other.
Right, yeah. All right, obviously, the first album for me, obviously, was in my top 5 as an artist, is Michael Jackson's Bad album. So, you got Bad, you got The Way You Make Me Feel, you got Another Part of Me, Man in the Mirror. What a tune, Man in the Mirror. I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Dirty Diana, Smooth Criminal, Leave Me Alone. I mean, out of all of them, we all know all of them, and they're all influential to me. I mean, I just loved MJ when I was younger. So, I mean, I love Thriller, don't get me wrong. There was other ones and all. But for me, all the songs on that Bad album were just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's a really big album. So that's probably any of us guys are not going to pull out a bigger album than what you just said, or on par with it, to be honest. So yeah, that's probably going to be the biggest album of the night in sales wise, certainly. Huge album.
Oh, actually, Thriller outsold Bad.
Well, if you're pulling
Thriller is the second.
Yeah, what I meant is if you're
Thr-
pulling out Thriller.
Yeah,
What I meant is
yeah.
mentioning like Thriller sold more, but if obviously Thriller is one of your albums, then that's going to be bigger than Bad.
It's only because it's like Top Trumps, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's like Top Trumps. I'll bring out my so I'll go. Thriller was my first, and then that's because for me, it was like the coming of age of Michael Jackson, as a solo artist. Yeah, Off the Wall was sort of an introduction, but it was still very disco-y. Whereas Thriller for me, I mean, you got Thriller, you got Beat It, you got Billie Jean, you got Human Nature, you got PYT, and that's like, and I Want to Be Starting Something. Out of 9 tracks, you got 6 bangers there, but it appealed to my soulful side as well, and it sold 33 million units. It's the second highest grossing album. But this is the weird thing we touch on very quickly. Is top album for you, could it be just because it's the top album because it's the preferred artist, but then the highest selling ever album was the Eagles, right, with their Greatest Hits, and that grossed 36 million units. So
Yeah.
you know, and then Hotel California, the album, was third, and MJ's Thriller was in between both of those. So I don't know anyone that listens to the Eagles, and I only know a couple of their tracks, like Hotel California, obviously.
Yeah.
But then there's obviously another market out there we don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Eagles are a huge bad, massive, worldwide. Hotel California was multi-million pound. But what the Guinness Book of Records do is, and they've done it with Queen as well, when they do top 5, 10 albums, most of the time they don't include the greatest hits because it's unfair on the album anyway, because the greatest hits is going to be a biggest seller.
Well, in that case, then Thriller would be top. But then Eagles would be second with Hotel California.
Yeah, Thriller is one of the biggest albums of all. Well, I think if not the biggest selling album of all time. I think the top 5 in this country, in not specifically any order, when I last looked at it, you had Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles. You had What's the Story, Morning Glory, Oasis, Simply Red, Stars. That's a huge album. Thriller, and I can't remember the 5th one. I think ABBA Gold was in there, if I remember rightly. But yeah, Thriller, you ain't touching that. That's I don't think that'll ever be touched either.
Yeah, that's my number 1 out of the 5. Thriller.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can touch that, Lev. To be honest, that's
it doesn't matter whether you can touch it or not, mate. It's our 5, isn't it? It's like exactly. I've not just picked it on sales. I've picked it on what the ones that appeal to me for a specific reason and why, as an album rather than sales. But it just so happens that Thriller was my favourite, and it is what it is.
But what I mean in general is that Thriller you can't touch, as in the fact is for the majority, the album is huge. That's what I mean. It's such a popular album. It's such an iconic album. It's a masterpiece, and it is.
It is. Quincy Jones again, isn't it?
Quincy Jones, yeah. Wow, yeah. I mean, everything about the album is fabulous.
Huge. So that's mine. That's my number 1.
Well, I'm going to throw in the surprise one out of all of them. What's the Story, Morning Glory, which
Shocker.
I think Terry was probably going to have in his top 5. I'll be surprised if you don't.
Exactly.
So yeah, for me, What's the Story, Morning Glory. A lot of Oasis fans like Definitely Maybe as well. Some like it better, but I think that was it's one of the biggest selling albums in the UK and in the world, as I say, and that's what really gave Oasis the big time when they went on to do Be Here Now, and obviously with their American roots going on tour with U2, the Smashing Pumpkins, and every single track on there I like. It's just iconic. I mean, even if you don't like Oasis, you know the songs. Some might say Roll With It, Cast No Shadow, What's the Story, Morning Glory, Hello, all the tracks on there, Champagne Supernova. She's electric, and there's 3 or 4 number 1s on the album as well. So it's what we were talking about earlier. It's a band, whether you like them or not, you not specifically like their songs, but you know them. It's a huge album. It's absolutely huge. So that's my first one. And
fair enough, mate.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna throw my surprise one in there.
You might as well.
Ooh, go on then.
And you said it right at the beginning of the show, Lev, and that is the.
No, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's nicking mine.
No. I don't know if you've got it in there, but you was talking about it earlier on. That's what I'm saying. But for me, it's going to sound sloppy, I know, but that's the kind of guy I am. You know what I mean? So the Bodyguard soundtrack album. It's just.
That is an emotional decision, isn't it? You and your missus made love to that, didn't you?
But I just think every song, more or less, on there was probably it must have made number one at some point at the stage. And obviously Whitney Houston, fantastic, awesome young lady in her younger days, anyway. You know what I mean? Her voice was just like an angel. It's unbelievable, so pure, effortless. Just all the songs, like I said, I think every one would probably all mean something to someone. So that's why I've gone with that.
Fair enough, mate. You can't argue with that. And I was going to say, like, you can have a subcategory. Like, if I was to put the best 5, the most that meant the most to me emotionally, you know, whether it was something to do with love or growing up or whatever, the Bodyguard soundtrack would definitely be in there. Do you know what I mean? I'll be interested to see the people watching what their sort of emotionally, personally sort of connected 5 would be. But I've gone with these top 5 albums. I've gone with a mixture of like how big they were, how many hits there was on there, and which ones had the most impact for me, and I would still listen to now. And my number 2, having thought of it, and I could have picked many, but number 2, and I can't leave it out, is Bob Marley's Legend album.
Oh yeah.
Come on, look at it. No Woman, No Cry, Could You Be Loved, 3 Little Birds, Buffalo Soldier, Get Up, Stand Up, Stir It Up, I Shot the Sheriff, Redemption Song, Exodus, and Jamming.
Yeah.
How many tunes do you want on one album?
That's actually a greatest compilation, Legend. That's what it is.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a greatest hits album.
I know it's a bit of a cheat, but bloody hell.
No, it's not cheating. It's at the end of the day, it's you like it, and that's all that matters. And it's a fabulous greatest hits album because it is, it's his finest work.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I have cheated on one and all.
Jeff Griffin will talk about Illuminati on another podcast, mate, including I could involve Michael Jackson, Prince, all that in there. We could do a really interesting conspiracy podcast one evening. Sorry, go on, Terry. Did you cheat? Did you, mate?
I said, yeah, I cheated. Let's get to Johnny's one first.
Right, my surprise one, that probably I wouldn't be surprised if none of you have heard of, or you have heard of, is I don't like rap music, okay? Which is, I don't like rap music. I ain't been into it, but I swerved a little bit in the 90s and I heard this album and I fell in love with it. And because they were different, they were fun. And one of the tracks is my favourite. And their biggest hit they ever done was called Insane in the Brain.
Oh my God, you're talking about Cypress Hill.
I'm talking about Black Sunday, Cypress Hill. It's one of my favourite albums. I love every single song on it. Break 'em Off Some, When the Ship Goes Down.
The ship goes down. You better be ready. When the ship goes down.
They brought fun to rapping for me. I know NWA and all that sort of stuff, but Eminem's a huge fan of them. They're very no, Siobhan, I'm not saying Jason Donovan.
Oh, Jason Donovan.
Love Jason Donovan, bless her. But yeah, Cypress. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Terry. Cypress Hill. Are you familiar with the song?
I'm in a couple of their songs on that, but I'm not really a big fan.
No prizes for guessing what was going on in your life during that period, Johnny. Did you have a couple of bongs in your bedroom? When it down.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, this is funny. This is true, right? The guys I hanged around with, I was an Oasis head and all that, but I just heard it they were playing it all the time. And I thought, when I heard Insane in the Brain and that, and then it was like, and don't get me wrong, their first album, there's a track on there called Pigs, which is great. And then
Police, obviously.
Yeah, and then Temple of Boom, the third album was really good as well. Throw your set in the air, throw your set in. You know the song, dear. And I just thought this is different. I like it, and
It's almost tongue in cheek, isn't it? But at the same time, informative, but tongue in cheek.
Yes,
It's humorous.
Yeah, that's my surprise package. I don't listen to it very often, but I like it when I'm at the gym or if I'm on the running machine. I think it's a really good album.
Fair enough.
That's good.
All right,
my in one then, obviously greatest hits was the Jackson 5.
Wow.
For me, the Jackson 5. I mean, I Want You Back, ABC, Never Can Say Goodbye, Sugar Daddy, I'll Be There, Maybe Tomorrow, Love You Save, Ooh Loving You.
I love the way you pronounce them. Ooh, loving you.
That girl. I mean, unbelievable. If you're a Michael Jackson fan, then honestly, you cannot like his earlier stuff with the Jackson 5. Absolutely fantastic. And like I said, you know, I really do like his voice when he was in the Jackson 5. I just think it was pure, unbelievable power. Unbelievable power. When you consider that his dad wanted him in the background because apparently he couldn't sing, and then all of a sudden he started singing, and then he made him go at the front. I mean,
and his brothers hated him for a bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, mate. Listen, anything to do with MJ, I can't knock anything to do with MJ, mate. So you know, you go for
one of my best ever songs by the Jackson 5s. I love it.
But wasn't it written by somebody else though? It was a Motown classic that's been covered by quite a few, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's just that version of it. His voice just overtakes the actual song itself. It's unbelievable.
He grew up around the Motown artists, didn't he? Everyone knew him as a kid. He hung around with all of them. So it doesn't surprise me that he covered it. Look, gonna talk Nas. He's mentioned Nas. You know, look, the Illmatic album's mega. It could have easily been in my top 5. Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt album. But right, I've gone rap as well now. Now, I based it on what albums I listen to the most, right? Like on repeat as albums rather than individual tracks. And this one surprised me when I thought about it, but I listened to it a hell of a lot in the gym. And it was very, like you mentioned Cypress Hill, for example, you can't knock. This album sold 1.75 million in its first week, right? And it was a connection to Dre, because I like Dre anyway, because Dre came from NWA days. He went solo. He had to do a bit like MJ, had to go off on his own and start something fresh and go out on his own. But Eminem's Marshall Matters LP. And
Huge.
the reason for it, if you think about it, guys, you had Stan on there, which was massive. The Way I Am's on there. Real Slim Shady's on there. Kill You's on there. Marshall Matters is on there. And the way it was, for me, it was the way he told stories. It was very different. It was like very honest, brutal, and it was, you could visualize everything he was rapping. It was very clear, concise, visual, controversial. And it will stay with you. That album will stay with you for the rest of your life in your head. No one will ever forget that album when he first broke out. So for me, 3, the third one is Eminem's Marshall Matters LP.
Yeah, good shout.
You next, John?
Right, I've cheated. We've all done a little cheat. This one will probably surprise you. I know you know the artist, and I think he should have retired probably 90s, and he carried on, and I think he ruined a bit of his legacy. But the Blue Album, Elton John's greatest hits. And if you look at the back catalogue, you got Your Song, Daniel, Rocket Man, Honky Cat, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is an amazing album on its own. Benny and the Jets, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Crocodile Rock. It's endless, and there are.
He's a great songwriter. Great songwriter.
It is. And it's a great. Oh, Metallica, Enter Sandman. What a track that is. Yeah, for me, Elton John's greatest hits, but it's the Blue Album. It's a double-sided disc. It's fabulous. It's got track after track after track, and it is really good. I think after Sacrifice, I think that was his last greatest hit, which was a great hit. I think Elton John should have knocked it on the head after that.
It's no sacrifice. That one. Is that the one?
Yeah, beautiful song. If you like Elton John,
Mate, he's a great songwriter. You can't knock his songwriting capabilities, but you're right. He has sort of passed it a bit, hasn't he?
yeah, he should have knocked it on the head after Sacrifice for me. If he would have banged out with that one and knocked it on the head, but
he's writing a lot for film. He's writing a lot for film and theatre still, though.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you know, he loves his music and that's what he wants to do. And good luck to him. It's just he's just not for. I try to remember him like that. You know, I just don't. When I see him in that Snickers advert, it makes me cringe.
Nikita, I used to like the song Nikita.
Yeah, did you know George Michael features on that at the end?
Does he? I can't believe none of us have mentioned George Michael, to be honest.
No, great
what an artist! What an artist!
Yeah.
Come on, like he's in there with the big boys, isn't he? If you was to pick the biggest artists ever, you'd go probably Freddie Mercury, MJ, Prince, George Michael, Elton John. Those are the mega stars,
Elvis Presley.
Elvis, yeah, that was that bracket, the mega star bracket. So George Michael, and as a vocalist, George Michael was amazing. Yeah. Like he covered for Queen, didn't he? At one concert, and he was amazing in that.
Yeah, so, he was very, very good.
Okay, obviously I've only got one more because you've already said the Oasis one, Johnny. What's the story, Morning Glory?
Oh, I've still got two. So you've thrown that Oasis one in there too. All right, fair enough. So this is your fifth, is it?
Obviously, my other one is Lionel Richie's Back to Front.
Oh.
Listen, mate, you know, My Destiny, All Night On, Easy, Still, Endless Love, Running with the Night, Hello, Truly, Penny Lover, Say You, Say Me, 3 Times a Lady.
Oh, my favourite tune of his Running with the Night.
Yeah.
It's a good track.
That's what I mean. That album alone, there's only 1 or 2 on there you probably won't like. I mean, if they all come on, let's be honest,
mate, fair enough, mate. You know, that's fair enough. And I can understand a lot of people like Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
So, you know, for that genre, there's a load of others I'd listen to rather than Lionel Richie. But I can totally understand your reasoning behind it. My fourth one is another rap album, which surprised me, but I couldn't leave it out. And it's Dr. Dre's 2001. If you go, it's just ridiculous as an album, and you listen to it now, and it's still brilliant. You know, I listen to Dr. Dre's 2001 album a lot in the gym. There's a certain playlist I've got for the gym, and that is definitely in there. And it's got, you know, Forget About Dre. It's got Fuck You in there. It's The Watcher. It's a great album. You could have gone with the original Chronic album, which is the more sort of iconic breakout type album for him, a bit like Nas's Illmatic. And then you had Skillmatic, but musically I prefer Skillmatic, but Illmatic is the more iconic album for obvious reasons. But I'd have to go Dr. Dre's 2001.
No one said Bon Jovi Slippery When Wet. Well, that is the reason why we never said Bon Jovi.
We could do a guilty pleasure 5 very quickly after this.
We'll
do it.
That's a great great idea, Lev.
Cheers, mate.
Right, I've got now. Right, this was tough because I had a joint one here, and I had to pick one or the other. So I'm going to tell you the one I left out as well. I've got 2 to go. I'm going to say the one that I put in next, actually. No surprise again. Big shock. It's Oasis' first album, Definitely Maybe.
Do you like Oasis, Johnny?
No, I can't stand them, mate. I really can't stand them. But Definitely Maybe, again, wonderful album. Rock and Roll Star, Columbia, Live Forever. It's just endless tracks on there again. Such an important band to me and to millions of others, especially in the 90s. It was something that was needed. So do you like Definitely Maybe, Terry? Are you into that album?
I like all of Oasis songs, mate. I don't think they've done a bad tune, to be honest.
Yeah, so like Definitely Maybe goes in there for me, which leaves me one more, which I'll tell you about after Lev's last one.
Oh, my last one is a bit of a curveball in the sense of I looked at my last one and I wanted to, because I like a lot of different genres, as I said. I mean, I mentioned Hans Zimmer, who's more classical, orchestral.
That was so
I met-
interesting when you pulled that out of the bag. That was brilliant.
Mate, listen, do yourself a
I
favour.
didn't
You
expect
know
that.
when you watch a film and it grips you, the music is what does that, right? So then I look behind the scenes, and Hans Zimmer, if you listen to his music, it's phenomenal. But it's another
Give it a
thing. But I went into DJing in Ibiza for a couple of years now. It was a pivotal time for me because all my friends were listening to garage music, right? So I found, as I said before, I found garage a bit boring. So I was DJing garage. I found the scene a bit boring, and I went to a couple of house raves, right? And I thought the vibe was different. Obviously, some pills had something to do with that, but it was just a happier, nicer vibe. And I listened to Prodigy's Music for a Jilted Generation album.
Yeah, good album.
And that is what broadened my mind to that type of dance music. It was a bit edgier. It was, electronic, but it was really raw. And it was track after track. I mean, if you think about that album,
Space on that.
huh?
Is that a space on that?
No, I think that's the album before. That was their first. That was the earlier stuff, I think. But you had Break and Enter, Voodoo People, No Good, Poison.
What a track, Poison.
Yeah. So I mean, that album itself, the way it's laid out, is one of those albums you can listen to one track after another without skipping it, and it's just, again, you play that in the gym, you're pumped. But that's what got me into the sort of harder house trance scene. Opened my mind to it, and I explored it from there. So for me, it was a massive impact for me. So that album was my number 5 because it had to have a dance album in there, and there's not many really great dance albums.
No,
You could say Daft Punk, you could throw Daft Punk in there and all of that, but Prodigy's
else at that
well
time.
ahead of the game, mate. And they were doing it with, like, very simple equipment back in the 80s, and phenomenal what they did with samples. So yeah, Prodigy's Music for a Jilted Generation, number 5.
They've done a track with Liam Gallagher as well. I can't remember what it was called, but it was really good. It was really, really good because Liam Howlett and Liam Gallagher are really good mates. So, and Flinty as well. Flinty was good friends with Oasis. So yeah, I remember the album. But yeah, my last 2, I'll say both, but I'll tell you the one that I threw out. You guys probably won't like either. So I cheated again.
Oasis' greatest hits.
No, that would be number 1. But that would be number 1. No, it's actually the Ultimate Collection of Brian Ferry and Roxy Music. That was the one I chose. The reason being, In Crowd, Let's Stick Together, Angel Eyes, Tokyo Joe. If you know, obviously, Roxy Music, Don't Stop the Dance, Love is the Drug, Slave to Love, Avalon. Great tracks. They are again a Marmite band, Roxy Music. Oh, Boss Drum, what a track by the Shaman, love it. Best track they ever did, I think, personally. But yeah, it just pipped another band that you two won't like, I'm pretty sure. It was an album, huge album called Violator by Depeche Mode. Have you heard of Depeche Mode?
I don't mind Depeche Mode.
I've heard of them, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and it had Enjoy the Silence on there. Personal,
yeah, I know that track.
Yeah, Personal Jesus, which Marilyn Manson covered. Huge album, but that just missed out. So it was Brian Ferry. So that's my top 5.
I'll throw another one in there because obviously you've done that one. But another one that was obviously very influential to me when I was younger, obviously being from the East End. Obviously, they're from the other crowd down the road. But
Chaz and Dave.
Chaz and Dave. I mean, that was
there you go.
always on at parties every time.
I was actually joking. Huh? I was actually on a wind-up.
No. I'm telling you, every because obviously being Cockney and things like that, you know what I mean. It was always on.
You've got a lovely daughter. Yeah, no, yeah.
Rabbit.
Yeah, Rabbit was the best one. Ain't No Pleasing You. They've got some great tracks, boys. I'll tell you.
Tottenham Hotspur couldn't get one in. Uja. Brilliant.
What the Kari's Bears. Do you remember that, Oliver?
Oh, man. People Are People. What a track. I don't know who said that. I can't remember. He had a Liverpool cover. It was John Barnes on his profile. People Are People. Master and Servant. All that sort of stuff. Sorry.
We've been going for an hour and a half now, boys. Do you want to quickly do your guilty pleasures then or something you said, Lev, before
we could go one or two. Yeah, we could. Let's not go 5 guilty pleasures. All right, I'll name a couple of my guilty pleasures, right? Any of the 80s rock ballads or bands. So, like, you had Europe, Def Leppard, White Snake. Yeah. And it kind of spawned the 80s montage music as well, where they all sang like they had a constipation, like, here I go again. You know what I mean?
All that sort of like dancing shorts and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, but and when you watch 80s films and their montages, it's the same type of voice, isn't it? You're the best around. So anything like that gets me pumped. I love it. Eye of the Tiger, all that sort of stuff.
But Foreigner was a good band, actually.
The Rocky IV soundtrack. Oh my God, the Rocky IV soundtrack's phenomenal. Anything like that. And also, I'll probably say, Aha. I used to like Aha.
Nothing wrong with that, man. Some of their tracks, great.
When you listen to it now, it's terrible. Morton, yeah. I actually did a school topic on them. So yeah. So there's mine. There's a couple there from me.
My guilty pleasures are like when you're standing at the bar, you're talking, and you're having a beer and that, and then you hear it come on. The start of it comes on, and then that's it. You all stop talking. You're all up there. Interaction with the song I like. Do you know what I mean? So my guilty pleasures are something like, don't know if anyone's. You've got to avert. You've probably heard the song, but Stevie Walsh.
Yeah, I know Stevie
Walsh. Our fan love him.
That's not a guilty pleasure, mate. That's a trap. Yeah, he died of a broken leg. He had a heart attack.
He died of a crash.
Yeah, but he broke his leg, and then it made him have a heart attack.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
he was the you what guy, wasn't he? You what? Yeah.
Like that's them sort of songs. You know what I mean? For me, I love them. They're my guilty pleasures.
I found Loving was Fatback Band, the original.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But I like his version. I like.
Oh, do you? Because of the you what's in it.
Yeah, he gets the crowd going. That's what I'm saying. He gets everyone going. Do you know what I mean?
Fatman Snoop.
Everyone's doing it, isn't they? Let's be honest. Everyone at the party is doing it. No matter where you are, what you're doing. As soon as it comes on, you will have you will. Everyone sings it. My other guilty pleasures are songs like Sherelle, Monday, Sunday, Saturday.
Yeah, they're classics. They're 80s. They're good tracks. They're not guilty pleasures.
They're classics, mate. Yeah. I think it's one.
I haven't really got anything else.
For me, a guilty pleasure is something you don't really tell people about. Do you know what I mean? Like those tracks you mentioned are classics.
Well, like Michael Bolton, you mean?
Right,
yeah.
Because obviously, when I was a bit younger, growing up, I would
dig a bit deeper, Terry. Come on, I know there's something in there.
A DJ and obviously like disco DJs, not like Finney, like just party weddings and that, and everyone loved Take That. So you had to bloody their music. So I know them off by heart because all the girls loved them at that time.
Oh, you was that type of DJ that had the flashing lights.
One.
Get him in the yellow pages, and he'll go, "Cool." One of those guys, yeah.
One,
yeah.
So yeah, no. So that's I can only say them really. Otherwise, it's all the classics that I love.
Okay, Johnny, you come on. You must have one, mate.
Well, I've got guilty actually because Lev's made me change my mind now because these bands are not really guilty pleasures. They're big selling artists.
Someone said Gary Glitter.
Oh my days! Oh, that's for another show. That's another show. No, Jangle. Wow, that's
hello Somalia. Somalia. Someone from Somalia.
My guilty pleasures are like one. I mean, I was going to say I love Duran Duran and Madness. I love them. I love both of they're big selling artists, but they're not guilty pleasures.
They're not really.
No, Lev's right. So I'm going to murder myself here now.
Do it, Johnny.
I am. I like tracks that one-hit wonders that people either love or hate, like Renee and Renato. Save Your Lovin', Save Your Love.
Oh, yeah. Shut up your face as well.
No, I don't like that one. But I like Visage, Fade to Grey. You know, these one-hit wonders. I mean, that's a big hit as well. But who else could I say that put me on the spot that I say, yeah, that is a guilty pleasure?
London Boys.
Hey, London Nights and Requiem.
Yes. Oh God, they were terrible.
Did you know they died both in a car crash?
Not by listening to their tunes.
Oh, that's terrible, Lev. That's bad, man. No, but they died. They were on.
Both together. To go to a gig?
They were going to a gig, and one of the wives who was in the car, she died as well, and they left their family, their sons. It was awful.
You had to take it there, didn't you, mate? I was having a bit of banter, and then you.
No, sorry, but
do you know, Lev? I know their songs were terrible, Lev, but you know they died, didn't you, mate? So you shouldn't really be laughing, Lev.
Oh my God, Siobhan's just gone. You're talking London boys. Oh, she likes them.
London nights, mate. The worse they are, they're even funnier. I love it. I love the.
I like stuff like, and it is corny, but I love it. It's like, do you know, like the really cheesy 70s hits, like tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree and all that sort of stuff by, or
tie a yellow ribbon
or the push bike song, you know, by the Mixtures, riding along on my push bike, baby. When that do you know all that sort of stuff?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You went around and listened to it. You know you
did. Nick Kershaw, Howard Jones, those kind of groups, they're guilty pleasures for me as well.
They were good. I liked them. They're fun. Thompson Twins,
good shot, doctor.
Yeah.
Song about gonorrhea, wasn't it?
It was. Can't you see I'm burning? Yeah. in Blue Night, that was. Hold me now. They done that. Was a classic.
Wait, they were massive for a little spell. Now you mentioned Thompson Twins, they just disappeared off the planet.
Do you remember Flock of Seagulls as well? I ran.
Oh my God, that hairstyle! What was the Flock of Seagulls track that I actually liked?
And Adamant, he was great and all. Yeah.
Adamant, Jesus Christ!
Oi.
Stand and deliver.
Oi. What was her name? Diana Dawes was in the video, weren't she? Prince Charming.
Yeah.
Again, you know, we could go on about it all day. All these, like, the guilty pleasures is another show. We could go through all of our guilty pleasures. There's loads of them.
Guys, did one of you guys want to talk about what's going on next Thursday for you?
We've been going for an hour and 36 minutes now, so let's
let's end the music stuff.
End the music show. But next week, guys, we've got something fantastic coming up. Johnny, go on, tell everyone what we've got coming up.
Johnny tried to fob it off onto you.
Johnny.
No, I'm in the middle. It's like tennis.
I never brag, as Siobhan will know, about people I know and people I talk to. I'm not like that, I'm not like that. But Cole Hester, he's a indie film producer, really nice guy from California. He's going to take his time to come on our show next week. He's produced a film called The Chair, which is a horror film. He's done a couple of horror films as well. He's also been in a film with Sharon Stone, bit parts, and he was also involved in, I believe, I didn't know, but Lev told me, Team America. Is that right, Lev?
Something to do with the sets there, yeah.
So he's a really nice guy. He's going to come on, talk about what he does and films that he does, but he's going to get involved. We're going to do a top 10 horror films of all time, and he likes his horror, and he's going to tell us his what he thinks as well, and he's going to get involved with us. So and also look out for in the coming months, hopefully. I spoke to John Chalice, Boise, from Only Fools and Horses, and he will be doing something with us along the lines, when I do not know, but it will be by phone. So I look forward to doing that one, and I know you guys are looking forward to doing that one as well.
Like an Only Fools and Horses special or something, won't it? That's what we're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's going to be good. And then after that, I think me and Lev are going to be talking about Nordic walking. So anyone who likes Nordic walking, me and Lev are very keen on that. So
I've retired at the top with that one, Johnny. Nordic walking. When I won that last championship, I just quit.
That was your middle stick that won that, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go. It was such a
prize specimen, isn't it? Really.
Yes, mate. Yeah. Thanks for that, Johnny.
That's right, mate. What do you feed it? Dinosaur legs or
alphabet spaghetti?
Oh dear. Sorry.
We'll be doing, as Johnny was saying, we'll be doing that, and we're doing lots of other things coming up as well. There'll be loads of different subject matters we'll be covering. And if you've got any ideas of any you'd like us to cover, let us know. and we're also going to be doing some more serious subjects as well, like mental health based things. We've got a friend of mine who runs a mental health organisation. We look to help people as well. We've all been through our own thing, so we'll be looking to do that too. But so loads of things coming up. So just keep an eye, guys. Subscribe if you've got friends. Let them know about it. We want everyone involved, you know. So the more the merrier. Hopefully we can grow this and have a lot of banter with everybody. So any suggestions, please feel free. Drop us a line. We're on Boardroom Bants. On Twitter @Room Bants. So just subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter, and all these boys here, you know them. Keep an eye out for the shows that are coming up. It's going to be on Thursdays, isn't it, guys? Every Thursday, 7:30.
Yeah, and we've got more to the crowd as well. Which we've got Springer and Diesel that's part of our team.
Yeah.
Got Claude, Jack Stevenson when he can. Kenny Ken will be popping on every now and then. So yeah, we've got a good crowd, good bunch of geezers, and we've got a good following. So everyone's welcome.
And we'll be doing the sports specials as well. So loads of different sports. I mean, we're all Arsenal fans here, but we'll be doing maybe football shows for all fans to get involved with, and we'll be doing darts specials, because I don't know if you're aware of this, but Johnny knows a lot of darts legends. So maybe we'll be getting them on the show. No, you haven't, mate. So make sure you let them know about that in a minute. We've got someone who owns a racehorse. Will be looking into horse racing. Maybe he'll give tips out on a weekly basis or something like that. And snooker. And there will be once a month. The plan is to do challenges. We'll be all meeting up at studios and challenging each other, maybe in pairs, maybe with darts partners, snooker partners, whatever. So any suggestions, boys? Anything, girls as well? Anything you want us to do? Send us a message, and we'll see if we take up a challenge.
Can we also Siobhan, who's watching the show, she's little sister, means the world to me. Emily, and I don't know if she's watching, but can we all wave to Emily, because she's a lovely girl, special girl. Love her very much, and all say hello to Emily.
Hi, Emily.
I hope you're well. And also, we'd like to get Siobhan on the show and talk about her 80s, because she's big on the 80s. Loves everything to do with the 80s, and she was kind enough to invite me on her radio show many times in Waterford, and I think we should get her on.
Oh, you never told me you was on radio, Johnny.
No,
was your radio, mate?
I'll tell you, I've done TV as well, Lev. I don't know if I've mentioned that, or Terry. Did I tell you I've done TV?
I didn't. I wouldn't have had a clue, mate, to be honest. But you got the face for it.
What about the modelling? Did I tell you I did a bit of that or not?
I mean, I can't believe that you gave up your free time to do this show for us, mate, to be honest.
It's always a pleasure. If I can meet two guys that are nearly as attractive as myself, I will gladly come on.
Cheers, mate. Well, you mentioned Siobhan is big into the 80s as well. We'll be doing TV series. Your top 5 or 10 TV series growing up over the 80s. I mean, I can think of loads. The theme tunes as well. We could have, I love all that stuff. So, whatever. And Siobhan, we'll bring Siobhan on, and that'll be great. So, anything and everything.
She'll bring so much to the show. She's a lovely person, and we'll even get Emily on as well if she wants to come on. But no swearing, lads. No swearing. But she's.
Mate, I can't wait for TV series, 80s TV series. Oh my God.
She knows her 80s stuff. She loves her 80s, and I think we should do an hour show on the 80s, and she'd be great knowledge on that. Really, really good.
Same. 5 dinner guests, alive or dead.
Oh, that's a great one. We could do that.
A great one. Yeah, nice one. The same. Well, look, keep an eye out for that. We're going to make a note of all these, yeah, and also your films of the 80s films, not just horror films. 80s films are growing up. I mean, some of the terrible films that we loved growing up, the action heroes, Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Chuck Norris, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, the comments, the quotes, all that stuff. We're going to cover all that stuff. It's exciting. I love that stuff.
Well, Lev actually does do a wonderful impression of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I don't know if it...
No, I don't. I do know some of the quotes, like... let off some steam, Bennett. That was a good one. I like that.
I like you, Solly. That's why I'm going to kill you last.
Oh my God, the same. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Love that film. Love that film.
I think Flo just asked me what is the name of the player that played for Rome, is it, or something? Oh, he likes the way I say it. Senzig Under.
And can we also ask Johnny to tell us who plays up front for Arsenal?
Aubameyang.
I like the way Johnny says it.
Johnny
not Johnny. Terry.
Oh,
Terry. No, Terry. I want Terry's version of it.
I'll do that at the end, just before we go.
All right, everyone, listen out for Terry's version of our striker's name.
Right,
You'll love it.
we better wrap it up.
All jokes aside, yeah, thanks very much for everyone that tuned in tonight. I've had
No,
great.
Thanks, guys.
You guys, yeah.
As everyone said, you know what I mean? Thank you to everyone that's contributed in the comments. We really appreciate it. If everyone please could go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It don't cost anything. It's just basically a follow. YouTube channel is Boardroom Bants. On Twitter, we are under Room Bants. And on Instagram, we are Boardroom Bants and all. So if everyone can go and follow them and get the word out there for us, for all these shows that we're doing, it'd be much appreciated.
And if you're not already, follow us all individually as well, because you know we always tweeting out different things and stuff, and you know you can come in through that as well. If my guys aren't on this channel, make sure you subscribe to it. Terry's guys, Johnny's guys. I'm on at Levanja. That's Levanja. You got I'm a Gooner. Terry at I'm a Gooner, and Johnny, you're Sensei something, aren't you?
Yeah, Sensei. But you love that, don't you? But is there any chance you two could do one of you guys do a poll for us tonight on the viewers? If we could do a show 1 hour mainly about me, and then just see if we just literally talk about me, what could have been, you know, where I've been. Just it's something we don't often do, you know.
Does your missus want to be here where you've been?
Well, let's change the subject on that one very, very quickly. But no, yeah, I think that's a good point, Lev. Right, see you later. It's getting late. But, no,
that was a joke, by the way. That was a joke.
No, where's the meatloaf? But yeah, no, as I say, I've really enjoyed tonight, guys. You know, great company as always, and I'm sure vice versa. So you know, it's been brilliant.
Yeah, listen,
you bastard, you.
Look out for the tweets on Boardroom Bants on the Twitter and Instagram on YouTube. And yeah, every Thursday, like we said, we'll be on 7:30 doing a random subject like we have tonight. And as we said, try and come and get involved. Let us know what you would want us to talk about. Also, we'll be talking about Arsenal, as we all love Arsenal. We'll be doing watch-alongs when we can, and other main sports like Lev said. So thank you, everyone, in the comments tonight for coming along, being with us, commenting and making our journey even more special. And we'll see you next week.
Hold on. And Terry, can you sign off with the name of our striker that plays for Arsenal?
The best striker at the moment in the Premier League is Aubameyang. Let's go.
Aubameyang.
So next week, guys.
Thanks, guys. Yes.